Clock, so if everyone would please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Listen-only mode.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Okay. And Sarah, could you take roll call, please?
Critelli,
Present.
Fontana,
Present.
Nacarado, Pappenfort,
Present.
Stevens,
Here.
Mayor Shore.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Okay. Do you want to read civility? Okay, we'll get you the, here we go. And Councilmember Stevens will read the civility invocation.
We are here working together to create a thriving community. It is the intention of the Salida City Council to promote civil communication by adopting the following guidelines for speaking to the public in the City Council chambers. It is our hope that by acting in this manner, we can help create a safe space for people to share their perspectives and opinions. We honor the opportunity to be engaged in the process of governance for the benefit of our community. We acknowledge that each of us bring a unique perspective to the conversation and that our perspectives may differ. We challenge ourselves to value varying points of view and hold all contributions as equally important. We understand and accept that while we may sometimes disagree, we can always be courteous and kind. We commit to respectful language, avoiding rumor, harsh criticism, or personal accusations, even when feeling emotionally charged. We will, to the best of our ability, speak thoughtfully and listen with attention, respect, and curiosity. We are confident that there may be even better solutions than any of us have thought of, which may be discovered through civil conversations. We affirm our support for women's rights, including equal pay, equal treatment under the law and in the workplace, and the right to determine choices that impact the direction and personal values of one's life, including all individuals' reproductive health choices. We commit to the city of Salida being a hate-free zone and declare and affirm a policy of non-discrimination on the basis of a person's race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, military or veteran status, socioeconomic class, medical condition, or physical or mental disability.
Thank you very much. And that will bring us to the consent agenda. Any questions or comments on that? Councilmember Stevens.
I just want to say I'll be recusing myself of anything due in part of the FIBARC agenda tonight. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
I do too. I guess my wife is the president of the board.
Okay. We appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Questions, comments on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Critelli, seconded by Councilmember Pappenfort, and the motion is to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda. Further discussion?
Critelli,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay. And that will take us to citizen comment. With citizen comment, there is a 3-minute time limit. And I'm going to hold everyone strictly to that in fairness to everybody. If anyone feels like they didn't have enough time, please feel free to reach out to me after the meeting. I'm more than happy to make time for you. The other thing before we go any further is the opportunity to sign up to speak is now. If anyone out there hasn't signed up and wants to speak, now would be the time to sign up. I'm not going to be taking anyone from the audience who raises their hand. So is there anyone out there who didn't sign up that would like to sign up before we begin citizen comment? Okay, hearing none. First up, we have Miles Cottom.
Remind me of what I need to do up here. I forget how.
Just in your
Cool.
name.
All right. Great. My name is Miles Cottom. I want to stress I'm here in my personal capacity, not in my professional capacity. And I'm here to speak in regards to the F Street closure, the F Street Plaza, specifically in favor of it. I think the data from the F Street survey gives you a pretty good picture. The single most selected choice was it worked well. That was more than double the next most selected choice, which was it generally worked well, but could use improvements. Comparatively, that's over 2/3 of the respondents, almost 68% thought it worked well or it generally worked. And if you look at just the city of Salida respondents, that figure goes to over 70%. And I don't think you should stop there because almost 9% of respondents indicated that though they thought it generally didn't work well, it could be improved. So looking at it another way, fewer than 20% of respondents, and that's 18.5% of respondents from the city of Salida, felt that it didn't work. To sort of put that in comparison, we have not had a contested municipal election in this town with that wide a margin since you could smoke in a restaurant. So reopening F Street is not only the opposite of what a clear majority of this community supports, it flies in the face of the city's efforts to be safer and a more sustainable community. In the summer, you've got tons of families with children, downtown, out and about, kids in cars is an absolute recipe for catastrophe. Having F Street blocked off for pedestrians and bikes also reveals a communal space, right? It makes it it's a place made for people to come together, to dine, to shop, and to experience Salida. Cars downtown circling to find metered parking feels soulless, right? It feels like a chore. It's running errands and it doesn't build community. A long-term closure for the downtown F Street Plaza allows businesses to actually invest in the space and to draw people in. That's been echoed by other business owners in this community. The streetscape cannot be as friendly and community forward as it needs to be unless business owners know what they can expect, and then they can actually put some time and effort into it. I think the Wayfinding project is a great example of a way to help direct traffic to other businesses off of F Street to keep some semblance of that equity alive. I think keeping F Street open also encourages car trips. It decreases air quality and it makes the city more reliant on oil and gas. For a city dedicated to being more sustainable, adding those car trips in and making that a core part of the community feels like a couple steps in the wrong direction. I think the action form in your packet tonight gives you a pretty good idea of some areas where cost-effective improvements can be made. Just closing 2 blocks can simplify the plaza and aid in traffic flow, emergency access and accessibility. The Diesel Post Memorial Wayfinding Sign Project is a great idea. It can help drive people to other businesses. The tree lighting, moving the stage, the flowers, those things, just with a little planning, you can make significant inroads in ADA accessibility, parade routes,
Thanks, Miles.
and the like.
Thank you, appreciate it. And then Kat Bean.
Hello. I mostly just wanted to say thank you to Dan and Justin for showing up for First Friday. It really felt wonderful to have some of the council supporting our arts district, and it means a lot to us. And also, unrelated to the art showing up on First Friday, as spring is coming and we look towards gardening, I think of the deer, and I appreciate what you guys are starting to plan for hopefully controlling their numbers, because they have become quite a problem and made it very difficult in recent years for me to try and garden, as well as many other people I know. And they have been sometimes aggressive with our dog, but not like, he's never been hurt, but just it's one of those things where whatever measures that you guys take to help with that it's appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it. And then Chris Tracy.
Hi guys, thanks for hearing me once again. Chris Tracy from Current Steak and Seafood. I won't repeat a bunch of stuff, so exactly what that guy said to start off with is pretty blatantly clear. We made a big stance on the short-term vacation rental tax of vote by the people, and we were going to listen to the people on how those votes came through. We spent city money creating this survey, that we did, and hopefully we can realize what those results truly were in that survey that wasn't attached on the agenda for tonight. Couldn't find the actual results there. For us, it makes a difference in our income. It makes a difference in our culture downtown. It makes a difference to my individual employees and how many people I can support throughout those summer months coming through. We have a parking problem in downtown Salida even during the street closure. So my question to you is if we open back up the street, where are we going to park all those bikes? All those bikes that come down every single night and park in front of the restaurants that are used to that. Where are those going to live? Are they just going to live on the sidewalks now? Because they're still going to come down in those bikes. We finally created a sustainable space to encourage pedestrian traffic. This would be one of the first places, I believe, in the country that had the opportunity of a pedestrian mall and turned it back over to vehicular traffic. There's obstacles that we have to overcome within this street closure. We all know this. They've been presented to us. Let's figure out those ways to work through those problems. We also understand that the city budget was tight. In that survey, there was no option that said, we don't want to do the street closure if the city doesn't have any money. It was overwhelmingly, we want to do the street closure and we want to make it better. We want to make it better over time. We need the help from city council. We need a long-term plan. But right now in the short term, we need some hey, we're going to listen to the people and listen to what's going on in downtown. You guys received not an official petition, but a signed petition from downtown business owners, both on F Street and off, which was overwhelmingly in favor of the street being closed for the summer months. We're not asking for a year-round deal. We're asking for a summer closure that brings a lot of arts and culture into our area. So please keep that in mind when you guys make your decision tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone online? Okay,
Mayor,
yeah.
before we move on, we're going to need to redo the vote on the consent agenda. Due to Councilmember Nacarado not being present, we will need you to vote because
Okay.
otherwise we don't have.
Quorum.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Vote tonight.
Okay, so can we go ahead and, do we have to make the motion again, or can we just vote?
Maybe someone can make the motion again.
Okay,
And we're just trying to correct the
Yeah.
previous, just
Sure.
so for everyone
Mr.
to know,
Mayor,
for the
I
record.
move to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda for real this time.
okay, we have a motion and a second, and the motion is to combine and approve the items on the consent agenda. I'm gonna,
For real this time.
yeah, for real. Further discussion?
Critelli?
Yes.
Davenport?
Yes.
Fontana?
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that catch. And also, just to make everyone aware, there were some letters in the, under citizen comment as well in the packet from a couple different sources. Okay, next up is a proclamation. It's declaring March 2024 Women's History Month. Whereas women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in our country, state, and community by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside the home. And whereas women have played a unique role throughout history by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force for our country, establishing early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions. And whereas every March, Women's History Month provides an opportunity to honor the generations of trailblazing women and girls who have built our nation, shaped our progress, and despite hardships, exclusion, and discrimination, strive and sacrifice for equity and equality in communities across our country. And whereas currently there are women serving locally in leadership positions, excuse me, inspiring the continued work in advancing the rights, opportunities, and full participation of women and girls of all backgrounds. And whereas women have served our country courageously in the military. And whereas International Women's Day, March 8th, 2024, is a global celebration of the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. Each day, this day serves as a powerful reminder of the progress made towards gender equality and highlights the work that still needs to be done. This year's campaign theme, Inspire Inclusion, emphasizes the importance of diversity and empowerment in all aspects of society. Now, therefore, the city of Salida does hereby proclaim March 2024 as Women's History Month in the city of Salida. Okay,
Thanks, ladies.
well done. And that'll take us to new business. The first item is Resolution 2024-21, appointing Christy Jefferson as city clerk and approving the employment agreement. Okay,
Actually, it says my name on it, but this is yours, Mayor.
this is mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have a presented by option on our, yeah,
I
sorry.
see, but putting me on the spot. So, so everybody knows, as some background, we participated in an interview. There were 15 candidates, narrowed down to 3. Christy, who many of you, if not all of you know, who has been a longstanding employee and done really important work in the community, has agreed to take on this challenge. We are delighted that she was willing to do so. And in that interview process, myself and Councilmember Nacarado, along with the department heads and other staff members were part of that, the attorney or administrator. And what's being proposed here this evening is the salary that the previous clerk would have been earning, and it's actually below median if you look at it across the state. So we believe that this makes sense, and we would recommend approval. And with that, we'll open it up to questions, and I could very well defer a little bit to staff if I feel like I'm in over my head.
You're here.
So questions on this?
I don't have any questions. I'm just so thrilled that it's Christy.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to say I'm very excited that Christy, getting to know her better. I know she's been on staff for a while, but I'm sure everybody was more than qualified, and I'm very excited that Christy is there.
It's also brave knowing full well what the role is. It's not like
It's a
she has
Christie
any-
thing. It's
Yeah.
a Christie thing.
Yeah, like it's not like she has any delusions of what it actually is.
Well, one of the things that was really appealing is, I mean, she knows the processes so well, and she's worked really closely with the clerk for so many years that, it's a really important role. Sarah's going to be taking on, or already has taken on, additional responsibilities. So the idea of having somebody that can come in and hit the ground running quickly, who already has really strong relationships with staff, as well as council, it just makes this really appealing. So really grateful for this. So,
Mr. Mayor?
yeah.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-21, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Salida appointing Christy Jefferson as city clerk and approving the employment agreement.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Pappenfort, seconded by Councilmember Critelli. And the motion is to approve Resolution 2024-21, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Salida appointing Christy Jefferson as city clerk and approving the employment agreement. Further discussion?
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
Critelli.
Yes.
Motion passed.
I was like,
Only when council members.
oh, that's very good. I was all excited about the opportunity to
You
vote.
have an opportunity. Now you can come down.
I'm back in the game.
You're back in the game, it's okay. I got ahead of myself there for a minute.
Oh,
I checked out for a minute.
Very good. Okay, congratulations. Oh, we come, we're,
yeah, you can
Yeah.
do the appointment.
Christie, can you-
okay. I'll cut,
I'm turning back.
No, takes these
Put your hand on the
backsies.
Bible.
why don't we go, we'll go by that. So, oh, actually, okay, so.
left your glasses up.
So I haven't done this before, so do I read this first and then she'll?
Yeah, typically you say, repeat after me, and then maybe
Okay.
a few words, and then.
Okay,
yeah.
wonderful, awesome.
Do you have
You're
your
taking
favorite
an oath,
book?
yeah.
Yes.
so that you can put your
Thank
oath
you
in
for
there.
raising your right hand. Please repeat after me. I, Christy Jefferson,
I, Christy Jefferson,
do solemnly,
do solemnly,
sincerely, and truly
sincerely, and truly
declare and affirm that I will,
declare and affirm that I will
support and enforce
support and enforce
the constitutions and laws
the constitutions and laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Colorado,
and of the state of Colorado,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Salida,
of the city of Salida,
and shall faithfully perform,
and shall faithfully perform,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of city clerk
of city clerk
for the city of Salida,
for the city of Salida,
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
All right. How about a round of applause?
Yay.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Stepping up. Thank you.
Bill's crying.
I know. Poor Bill.
All right.
Bill needs some Kleenexes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would also like to just add a little thank you to Sarah, because for me, she has been wonderful because of all my situation. So I would like to say thank you to Sarah and welcome, Christy.
Okay. Another round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And then next up is regarding F Street Plaza and future F Street.
Nope.
What?
Prosecutor.
Oh.
Prosecutor.
Boy, I'm getting
I know
ahead
you're
of
so
myself.
excited, though.
I know. We'll hold off on that one for a second. That's the problem with these glasses. I use them to look at the screen, but if I'm wearing them and I look down here, it's kind of fuzzy. But regardless, Resolution 2024-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, appointing the city prosecutor and approving a professional services contract.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. Yesterday evening, the council had the opportunity to interview 3 qualified city prosecutors. You had a chance to ask them questions. They asked you questions. We did a reference check Sarah called references this morning, and you've had a chance to review those as well. So this evening, Resolution 2024-22 allows you to appoint one of those 3 individuals as the city prosecutor, and also approving their employment agreements. Happy to answer questions if you have any.
Great. Questions?
Comment.
Sure. We can definitely move on to comments if there are no questions.
I just want to say thanks to all the people who applied, Clayton, Karen, and Lisa. Everybody was very impressive, and I just so much enjoyed meeting them and hearing from them. It gave me much more of a sense of, how prosecutors think and what their job is. So thank you, everybody, for, offering your services. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
For sure.
Anyone else? Okay.
I'll just say, I'll follow up by, it was really just great to learn more about that through the process of the interviewing, about their role. Moving beyond that, I think, we got really lucky. I think any 3 of the candidates would be amazing choices. I think Lisa Skanga was a standout for me, being that she already represents Poncha and Buena Vista and got glowing reviews from them, and is also local and just seemed to be the best fit for us, in my opinion. But unless somebody else saw something that I didn't.
Same page as you, kind of just stand it out.
Yeah, I thought she
Stood
was
out for
really,
me.
I thought she was really impressive as well. And I thought the other 2 did a great job as well. I think it's, particularly for a role like this, having your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the community. And, one of the concerns I had, one of the candidates would be coming over from Pagosa Springs, and, Pagosa 6 months of the year to get to Salida and go over Wolf Creek Pass. We've got a docket every month, and I thought a lot about that, and the idea of doing it local when you have really qualified candidates makes a lot of sense to me. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I am in the same state as Justin. I thought Lisa was a little bit more of a standout just because she is local. All three were qualified. I'm very impressed that Salida would have such qualified candidates for this position in such a small town and people wanting to apply and do this job. I thought for the reasons that Lisa is local, has her schedule already with BV and Pancha. Salida would fit right into that schedule, it seems. And I like what she had to say, the way she presented herself, represented herself. I feel like she would be a good fit for the city of Salida.
Okay. Then all that would remain, I think at this point, would be a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2024-22, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Salida appointing Lisa M. Skanga as city prosecutor and approving the employment agreement.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilmember Critelli, seconded by Councilmember Stevens, and the motion is to approve Resolution 2024-22, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Salida appointing Lisa Skanga as city prosecutor and approving the employment agreement. Further discussion?
Stevens?
Yes.
Fratelli?
Yes.
Fontana?
Yes.
Davenport?
Yes.
The motion passed.
And that takes us to what took us to a few minutes ago, and that would be regarding the F Street Plaza and the future F Street uses.
Yes. Good evening. You have before you a memo that, quite honestly, most of the information available in the memo has already been brought to the council over the last few months, outlining the way F Street has been utilized over the last 4 summers, indicating some of the concerns that some people have brought forward, including some safety concerns and access concerns of our public safety offices. We did provide to council opportunities for different actions if either the street is opened or closed, including additional lighting, the pedestrian wayfinding that's already in the works and should be installed in June, the installation of speakers. As has been mentioned before, intersection improvements at F and 2nd and F and 3rd are in the works in 2024. Installation to be completed in 2025 that will allow additional pedestrian amenities and safe space. Staff is here to answer any questions that you have. We have all of the staff from each of the departments here. If you want to ask specific questions to each of the departments, I'm happy to pass the mic on over to them so that you all can make the decision that you'd like to make this evening that'll allow staff to move forward with whatever we're doing for this year.
Questions for staff from anyone here?
I guess I had some questions about this idea of timeline and time constraint kind of being passed around on council. I don't recall any official discussion on timelines, except that we need a year of postponement in order to figure out things, and that requires a year. And I just want to know what that is and why. Is it a year and not, say, 2 or 3 months to figure out logistics? Because I have to imagine that the postponement comes from something. We're not talking about doing away with F Street closure for forever. We're just postponing it a year. So where does that come from? Where does that year come from? Who thought that? Does anybody?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to weigh in.
Cool.
So, a couple of things. Number one, I mean, obviously, when we did the closure back in 2020, it was because of COVID, and it was because the governor gave us the ability through I believe it was an executive order that we could open up onto the streets. I mean, obviously, while COVID is still with us, It's morphed into something very different. We've learned how to live with it. And, during the last 4 years, it has absolutely been a benefit to many parties in the community. And at the same time, it's had impact on others. And so there have always been equity issues with the ambulatory challenged, with veterans, with the elderly. And we used to have an amazing community resource in the SBA, the Salida Business Alliance, where we could go to them and have conversations and get the voice of the business community. And sadly, that's gone. What I would love to see is the merchants to create an association that we could work with. It doesn't have to be the SBA, but something similar. And my thought, and this is where the year comes in, is I think it's really, really important that we create a task force comprised of these different entities, because there have been some people who've been benefited from this and others who have been impacted. And I've already put together and gotten a group of probably 10, 11 people that would be comprised of members of the veteran community, the ambulatory challenge. There would be merchants both on and off F Street. And really to come back with something based off of that, where, one of the things we've been hearing from merchants is they want a 3 to 5 year time commitment. And I don't feel like that's possible for a couple of reasons, without having these discussions first. And even if we were to do something, if there's a new council that comes in 2 years or 4 years, they're not bound by it. So, I have some concerns that someone's going to invest all this money in something that could conceivably go away if a new council comes in. So this isn't a never. In my mind, this is a not now. Let's use this year as a reset year. Let's talk to people. Let's have conversations. People seem excited about this working group, and figure out a way that, based on what happens in those conversations, that we can move forward in future years. But I don't think we're going to know until we have those conversations. And I mean, shame on me. We probably should have had these conversations 2-3 years ago, but we didn't. Yeah.
So that timeline isn't necessarily coming from staff saying logistically, we need this year because of, there's no logistical, that's just a,
well, go ahead.
I think there is a little bit of logistical. The council had decided a couple months ago that the decision would be made by the end of January, so staff could incorporate this into our work plans, which we haven't, because we haven't gotten clear direction. Secondly, the budget that the city had adopted last October did not include any additional resources for downtown, for F Street, for the closure, for additional staff to move things. So there is that as well as we move into the budget for 2025. If the council wants to include expenses for the F Street closure, that would be a great time to do it.
Councilmember Nacarado is here.
And Councilmember Nacarado is here.
Oh, okay.
Which doesn't have anything to do with this, but
Okay,
just letting you know.
Okay, good.
So I think that is.
Nice aside.
Thank you. I think that is the staff side of it.
I mean, yeah, there are options of $0 improvements, right, that we can take. So we're not pigeonholed into having to do flower baskets, which I think we absolutely don't need
We're not.
by any
yes.
means, just because of staff hours. I think that there was options presented that don't necessarily take a year to implement. I think the amount of time that we've taken on F Street closure over 4 years probably amounts to 8 meetings worth. We've only ever approved within a month each time. We never really knew that we were going to do it until it was just kind of, basically having business owners saying, what are we doing? Memorial Day is at the end of the month. So I think we can do things pretty fast. I mean, that said, we still have some months beforehand to address. I think I don't want to seem like I'm not trying to address the two main opponents of F Street, which is the Veterans Parades and handicap accessibility. I think, you know, seeing how we're talking about something again that we've spent done very last minute each year. Now that we even have this much lead time, I think we can come up with some pretty solid solutions. And if not, then we can actually point to that. Because right now I'm representing a downtown business corridor that is basically either telling me that this is a point positive for their business or it doesn't affect them one way or another. It's just neutral. And if the worst is neutral, then it goes back to why bother having a survey? Back to that just point of the survey is supposed to inform our decision, and I think that it seems pretty positive to the point where that puts that on us as a council to say, hey, there are some issues, let's address them. I just have nothing to tell my downtown business owners, the people who voted in the positive on the survey for this project, if just by arbitrarily saying we need a year to figure these things out.
My thought on the survey, and there's clearly merit in the survey, but to equate it with a vote of the people, I think is a stretch. And the reason I think it is there's a lot of elderly people in this community that aren't on computers, that aren't going to fill an online survey, but they vote in big numbers. So I think that's a slippery slope, and I don't necessarily buy that. But the other thing that did come up was, there was some dissatisfaction with people feeling like it was getting tired, that it needed to be freshened up, that more money needed to be spent. And I feel like if we take the time, we've never done this before, to sit down with these different constituencies and have conversations and find out what's acceptable to them, what isn't. We've never done that before. And, with the businesses that talked about being neutral on this, that they're saying essentially that it's not an economic driver for them necessarily. So I'm totally open to the conversation, but to just close it again before bringing in all these parties, I guess I don't see looking at it and taking a year to reset and really evaluate seems like good planning to me.
Mr. Mayor, I have
Yes.
some thoughts.
Yeah, Councilmember Fontana.
Yes, so I don't know if I have like 3 different questions or issues possibly. The first one is, so the barricades that were put up, I just kind of have some questions for staff. The barricades are obviously concrete. Was there ever any thoughts of putting something such as gates up there that are hinged or removable for easy access, that you could put a banner on, relatively inexpensive, that says welcome to F Street or the city of Salida? I'm not sure who to direct that question to for the barricades.
It'll be
Something that would
David,
be
and he'll come up in
easy
just a minute. Do you
to
want to
remove.
ask all your questions at once, or would you rather have him answer that and then go to the next ones?
Yeah, this is the same question. So I'll keep going on this same question.
Okay.
So something that would be easier to remove and put up for emergency, for parades, for, something like a gate, like at Murdoch's, or some hinged something with a banner, City of Salida, F Street. Has there ever been any discussion on other barricades?
David's coming up now.
Sure. So I think just from a safety standpoint, just with what we've seen in other places in the country, it's important to have it be traffic graded so that stops a car. I guess that's one to drive into the closed zone. So those concrete ones are a traffic grid barricade. There are bollards that we have looked into in price. They are certainly possible and something that I am looking into incorporating them into these intersection improvements, kind of regardless of the decision that happens tonight. They are quite pricey though. They'd probably be, it looks like a little over 200,000 to have the traffic rated bollards installed. Either way, I think neither of them are really, I don't know, deal breakers or whatever. I think either option would take a few hours to set in place, remove if we were needing to remove them, and put them back in. So, but that's really the option. I think there could be a possibility though, even whether it's those bollards or barricades, I'm sure we could look at some improved signage, or if we had a banner or something that went in between them, I think that could be a possibility.
Thanks. You might want to stay up.
Thank you. So my next question has to do with, I know that there was a lot of talk on the ADA and the parking and accessible parking for the ADA and handicap. So my thoughts on that are, if we close F Street, some of those spaces are gone for those people who absolutely need to use those to access, to go to F Street. So is there such a thing that could be brought up? I know there's private lots. An example would be behind Pinion Real Estate or behind Amica's. So is there a way that we could say, bring up something like Amica's is going to sponsor a few handicap parking spots for the month of June, and then Pinion's going to sponsor them for July, and then the Five and Dime is going to sponsor those spots. I mean, that's just an example. I know that those people lease those spots and they're dedicated spots for their businesses, but if there's a way that we can get them some more parking, if it were closed, is there an option for anywhere to get more parking for accessibility? And I don't know who that's directed to.
That could possibly be a question for the committee we try to set up, but.
Hi, everybody. It's Councilmember Nacarado. I have questions about the ADA accessibility, and sorry if this has already been discussed, but I think it's pretty clear that we lose ADA parking spots when we close F Street to parking. And there's been suggestions about putting those spots in front of the barricades, but that creates even more of a barrier for police and fire, which is another one of my main concerns. So those are the two big issues that I see that need to be solved. When people come to us in the survey or otherwise and say that there's an access problem, we have no choice but to listen to them. That's so important. I mean, I can make assumptions based on my family members who have to use a walker or a wheelchair about how difficult it is to get around. But if we have people coming to us in council and saying on the survey that there's an access problem, then we can't just go forward with business as usual. We have to address that.
Well, and my fear is, I believe F Street closure to be a point positive for our sales tax revenue. So we're conceivably around this discussion in the best economic health that we're going to be in the foreseeable future. We already are seeing sales tax revenue plateaus. So again, my question is, as opposed to right now, and then a year from now, how are we in a healthier place to address those concerns? Like I don't understand what we can't get done in some months in preparation for this summer, what we then magically can get done in the following months and in the winter months when everybody is pretty much just in survival mode, which is just every winter in Salida. So I think that's my concern. I don't see us being in a better place to address any of these concerns later.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we might flip the 2 years because we're looking at improvements on the corner of Second and Third next year. Am I right? That's when all that work is planned?
Yes.
And so we're going to already have a kerfuffle, if you will, going on next year. If we limited a closure to 2 blocks, put in some additional handicap spaces in the rest of it that's open, you know, I'm willing to compromise on that because I'm starting to see next year as the year to shut it down. Then we can get the demographics that we want. How does it affect traffic? And we could put in some additional parking if we only close 2 blocks. That's going to also limit the concerns of safety from police and fire if we keep it simple and keep it small. And so, you know, as annoyed as I am that we're talking about this again, now I am starting to question, maybe next year should be the year that we don't have a walking mall at all. And we get serious about the committee work and how we're going to solve for all these other problems.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, okay.
So my last part of that was the business part that I had discussed with many businesses, and most of them are agreeing to help with improvements on their own, to put stuff out there, to put a tent out there, to beautify what is out there once it is closed. And that's if the whole thing is closed. And then they said they would absolutely work with the veterans. I'm a veteran. I want that parade running down F Street. I want the 4th of July parade down there with the flag flying. I want the veterans parades. I want every parade there is, the FIBARC parade coming down F Street. Every business that I have talked to said they would move everything they have out of the way for the parades to come down the street if that were an option. And then I had talked to a few businesses that said, if there were a way to make more accessible parking for those in need of it, then once they get in the closure, it's better for a person in a wheelchair, such as myself right now, to have the street closed instead of being on a crowded sidewalk with 200 people in a wheelchair. When the street is closed, you can be wherever you want to be. So, you know, and the businesses I talked to said they are so much in support of helping the city make this the way that everybody wants it to be if it were closed this year, and they want to invest in it.
So I would.
So I'm.
Yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, the only thing I was going to say is I would be careful about the comment regarding the ambulatory challenge. I mean, that's a question that needs to be answered directly by that community about, you know, sidewalks versus a closure. I mean, for people that it's not an issue for, I think it would be a really big mistake to go based off of that. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
I just keep looking at this, you know, this the price of these, you know, actions that need to be taking place to, you know, set everybody's mind at ease, you know, especially, you know, being in Ward 2, you know, downtown business is a big portion of my, you know, my ward. So, you know, I definitely want the downtown businesses to know that I back them, and I want them to all be, you know, feel supported and you know, get what they need out of us, but also, you know, the respect in the word of our, you know, fire and safety. And that's my biggest issue. If we can find something like Justin Costelli is saying, you know, it's like, those are the big issues for me, and those are the big issue items on here that that need to be done to ease their minds and safety minds. So if there's a way to sit down with them and talk about ways to, you know, to ease their mind, because, you know, somebody said earlier is like, you know, yeah, people are down there, it feels safer for the families, people are running in the streets, but if something does happen down there, that's what they're, you know, it's hard for the ambulances and fire to get there in time to, maybe in time to make a difference in whatever is going on down there. So, you know, like the Ballards, you know, $225,000 Ballards, that's a lot of money, and so that's a lot of work. Somebody has to come in, I mean, and so in my mind, if we could, sit down and have a discussion, I'd love to see the plaza come back. You know, I love it. My kids love it. I have friends downtown that I've talked to that have businesses that are all for it. I've talked to people that are, you know, on the fence. They say, you know, oh, we love it, but it needs something, or we don't care for it unless it gets something. So, you know, so of course I'm down for whatever is best for the downtown area, but fire and safety is kind of my top priority and concern, and of course the ADA parking and ambient accessibilities and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm standing right now.
Yeah. No, it's not an easy one.
No.
No.
And then I have a question for Christy
Yes, ma'am.
about the wayfinding project. You said those signs were in the works and possibly ready in June?
Yes.
Is that correct? And what did we decide they look like? I mean, I think that's awesome. What did we decide they look like, and where are they going to be? Do we have a plan for that?
Yes, Diesel, our Parks and Rec director, brought that forward a couple months ago. We had work session with the design and with the location of them. Diesel is at the podium now and can explain more.
So we do have a plan for the, what we're calling now, the downtown pedestrian wayfinding. So we've evolved our directional signs from businesses to bakes to downtown areas. Steam plant, river park, shopping and dining. We have large pedestrian informational kiosks with maps and a QR code that will essentially take you to Google pedestrian navigate, where you'll have a little blue dot, and any business that is on Google, depending on where you zoom in, will be on there. It's pretty simple, but there are lots of options there. And then what we've done is we've created beacons, which are basically poles with little signs for pedestrians, again, that say steam plant or shopping and dining. And what they do is they call your attention to different places downtown. So we have large kiosks with maps in Riverside, at the corners of F and First, and one in Alpine Park. And then we have these beacons basically out at like the skate park by the fire station corner, where they're defining the downtown commercial space and pointing people in directions of shopping and dining, as well as public interest. And there is a design. It's on my computer when I don't really have a way to get it up right now here.
I do remember you presenting that. I just wasn't sure if we're moving forward. So I think that's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And listen, like, if it's discovered that these issues that we have are insurmountable, we just don't have the time to really iron it out or have it make sense, then at least that's a message that I can deliver to my constituents to say, hey, this is why it isn't happening. But right now, that's not the discussion. The discussion is, we need a year, just give us a year. And there's no real ironing out of what exactly is happening within that year, except that we get one more year farther removed from F Street being, or the plaza being a thing. And I'm not, fighting for everybody's, right to have what might be their favorite new normal after COVID, which is like a to-go margarita to be able to enjoy at an F Street Plaza. I mean, maybe that is a part of the use and a part of our sales tax revenue, but really what I'm saying is this is towing the line with a messaging of we'll kick out a survey, but we could make our own little, our own public opinion about the results of that survey and just do whatever we want anyway. I mean, if we are suggesting that maybe we just stop doing surveys because old people don't have access to the internet is what we're saying, then that's an odd take, but fine. Then that's less work on our part doing that citizen outreach, but we just cannot discredit those results. I think it's more of a call to say, hey, we want this to happen, and if there are these issues like access, access to our, first responders, or access to ambulatory challenged people, let's figure that out now. I think that's more of a call for us for action. That's why this is an action item. We already have the results of the survey. We already know the issues that stand before us. Let's see if we can figure it out before the summer.
And what I would say is, yeah, the survey was positive, but not nearly as positive as it's been in previous years. And there were multiple comments, people saying it's tired, it looks trashy. And so all I'm proposing is let's figure it out. Let's take the time, let's talk to people, let's talk to those that have been disenfranchised over the last 4 years with this. And, I would have started these conversations earlier, but I wanted to see the outcome of this meeting. And let's give them a voice, and let's bring all these parties together. I mean, who knows? Maybe all the sales tax bumps we saw was a function of COVID. How much of it was COVID? How much of it was us closing the street? I don't have an answer to that. This summer would give us some of that, but that's not my reason for it. It's just we haven't taken the time. I think about I've heard different things tonight. I've heard, well, just make it 2 blocks. And that was the original proposal a few years ago, but then we heard from some of the merchants between 2nd and 3rd, they didn't feel it was fair, which they were right. It is a big equity issue. I feel like if we tried to do something over the next 2 months, we wouldn't be doing it justice. And I could be wrong, but that's just the way I feel.
I don't know what
Ask
that.
a question of Councilmember Critelli. This is Dominique. So, I hear you. You're not giving up. I do hear you keep saying that we're just making public opinion of the survey, but I just pointed to the answers on the survey that said access challenges. So I feel like you're kind of discrediting me by saying I'm discrediting the survey. If we have survey answers that say there's access challenges, then that's the survey speaking to us, right? Mm-hmm. But what I would like to know is what would you do to speed up the timeline that Dan's talking about? You just named all the things: police, fire, access.
Totally.
What do you propose that we do in order to enact that?
And that's why I get paid the big bucks to come up with citywide sales tax generating ideas. No, I say that in jest. I'm saying that it is my job to echo the people in my ward who want this to happen, and that's why I'm here. And I put that challenge onto staff that gets paid a wage to come up with answers, while I am a mere part-time, this doesn't pay for a single line a day of grocery shopping for me job. So that's kind of where I go, hey, I believe in staff. That's why I don't rally against them publicly. I believe that we can do hard things, and I think we can come up. I do believe that in our civility and vocation, there are ideas that I haven't thought up of. Because if I did, I would like to get paid appropriately for those ideas. But yeah, isn't that the story of a millennial? Doing a lot of work and not for a lot of pay.
I agree. And I was under the impression that one of us was going to have to, as you are with the downtown businesses, lead an effort. One thing I do want to say is it would be really nice to hear from an organization of those businesses, like the chamber. We lost Salida Business Alliance. I'm not sure if that's the chamber's role, but I feel like that is really missing in this conversation that we keep repeating. And to the point where Suzanne was doing it herself. Now you're doing it. Dan's talking about doing it. So we're all spending a lot of time out there talking to businesses. My impression from talking to businesses is that I could not make a decision because some businesses don't want the F Street closure, some businesses do. So it's really tough. But one decision that we can make in our council role is if we want staff to prioritize that over the speedy timeline of the next few months, what do we want to deprioritize? And I guess, that's kind of more of just a thought partner question with staff. I don't know if you could answer it right now, but what would have to go by the wayside if we decide to focus on this over the next couple months?
I think that's your decision as well. We implement the policy that you direct us to. So staff has been waiting for council to make the decision on having it opened or closed, and then we can move forward with what that looks like. So we are here to brainstorm with you and to create what you ask us to. That's what we're waiting for.
And in fairness to staff, we did give direction a month or so ago, and, that we were going to.
Well, that's why
I know, no, I know, but
that's why I asked, who set the timeline? Was it staff that gave us the timeline?
No, council at the end of last year, we asked council to give us enough time to put a work plan together depending on what was going to happen with F Street. Councilmember Stevens said, I think we should make a decision by the end of January so that staff has time to do this. So no, staff did not make the timeline. The council made the timeline.
The ones that are
Mr.
least
Mayor?
qualified to tell us what these timelines would be is us.
I'm sorry, we have, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if there is a timeline and we're making it, what would be the timeline on finding more accessible parking for people who need it? How would that go about to staff? How would you put more accessible parking in there for that? That seems like a major issue. If it were closed,
Yes,
where do we get more parking for, the ADA and such?
Sure. So I think that the steps look like, one, council would determine if it's 1 block, 2 blocks, 2.5 blocks, right? Because that will then allow staff to understand what we're working with and what is available for different options. So that is something that council can direct to staff so that we can then have a plan. The next step would be having staff go downtown, identify parking spots that are available, identify where ADA spots could be available. It would take some time on the street. We will, while y'all are deciding on which way to go with this, if council does decide to close any portion of F Street, we will need to draft a resolution and bring it back to you at the next council meeting for you to vote on that as well. So within that resolution, we would want to understand what the scope of the F Street Plaza looks like.
And I'll also just.
Mr. Mayor, would it be possible to hear from police and fire tonight about what their concerns are and whether Ballards would solve those concerns?
Yes.
Yeah, Kathy's coming up right now.
And Chief Johnson is hopefully home, as he has a cold. And
He is
miserably sick, and so I hope that
contagious for
he's
sure.
not spreading it.
Thanks.
Good evening. So the concerns with fire is just access. To move a concrete barrier takes a lot of time. We developed some tactics around that, but fire doubles every 30 seconds. So if we get a fire in one of the downtown buildings, we got to expect that it's going to take us longer time. We can't just pull right up in front of it anymore. So it's going to take us time to deploy our new tactics, which be hooking a hydrant at a very end of a block and hand running hose instead of hooking it with a truck and driving the truck right in front of the scene. So yes, it does delay our response time.
Normally, these plazas have sprinkled buildings. None of the area where our closure is any sprinkled downtown building. It's one of our higher hazard areas for the fire department. There's been a lot of remodeling and fixing of the area down there. So caulk lofts and all the attics used to be attached, but there has been some fixing to that, but it's still our most high hazard area in the city right now. So hopefully that helps with some questions.
Would the ballards that open more easily and quickly than the concrete blocks, would that make a difference?
I think so. My understanding is they would work on sort of a lock system where we could have the lock pop them and drive the truck right through the middle. Correct, yes.
And then, not to put you on the spot, but
Sure.
if you had to identify, like in that entire closure we've had the last few years, are there certain parts that are more problematic than others?
I can't specify that. I'm not going to specify which one's more problematic than the other, but like I said, over time we've remodeled some of the areas where we're not connecting all of the attic spaces together, but some of them haven't been touched, haven't been remodeled, and there's still those probably are our highest areas of concern.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.
And yeah, I guess I'll just offer up again, I don't want to be bringing this back up to be a nuisance. It was just, unfortunately, it was decided upon during a meeting that I got caught in a snowstorm and couldn't attend, like my first meeting missed in like 6 years. And this is, again, yeah, my word, my voice is to echo. So it was decided via work session / press release in which the conversation lasted all of about 30 minutes. So I think that this is good. This is good either way we want to go, because we're already discussing these things that apparently could potentially take a whole year to iron out. I'm glad we're talking about it now and trying to iron out details. I mean, I'm already getting waves of emails about what's happening with the F Street stage, for instance, something that we bought for the betterment of the closure that now needs a new home. So I think it is good to talk about these things and see what we might be able to do. It is again, it's if I would like for us to at least prove that these problems that are presented can't be resolved by this summer. It would at least be like, hey, we tried, instead of arbitrarily setting the timeline to this year, which I just can't wrap my mind around, so.
So I'm curious, let's say we took your approach, right? And we tried to get the information. Realistically, I'm guessing, we'd have to convene a group. We'd probably have to have a series of meetings. Those meetings would probably take us well into April, if not further. I mean, Memorial Day is, May 23rd or whatever day it is. That doesn't give staff much time. And I'm just wondering that, and that's why I was proposing more time to really deliberate over
Literally
this.
never stopped us before.
Yeah, but we also had something.
Every other time we've done this.
But every other time we've done it, in the survey we got this year, people told us it was tired, it was ghetto, we did get a lot of responses like that, because I read them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's also the proponents, the people who are for it, are the ones like Riveting Experience who actually did invest their space into the closure, and now we're going, hey, now that it's not happening, I have nothing, I have nowhere to put this thing.
No, I hear you.
So we've put that on business owners, which we've gotten signatures of a long list just recently that said, yeah, we'll participate more. It's hard to kind of say, hey, we're gonna have this be on shaky ground at all times when we want you to invest. It's just not realistic. When it seems it's always been on a whim. It's always been within, it's now or never. who's going to invest in something that has that much uncertainty? It's not realistic.
I know, I feel for riveting, and I wish more businesses downtown had taken the initiative that they took that would make this decision, at least for me, much, much easier this year. But, there are a lot that haven't done much with the spaces in front of their.
And apparently we're proving them right. I mean, why would
Well, they had 4 years,
Why would they have, well, yeah, but we've never given that commitment as a city. I mean, we're willing to we sign multi-year contracts all the time, and we can't give them a 2 to 5 year promise. We can't even say, hey, this is just something, as long as we're a council, we're going to always support. We can't offer them any certainty ever. And we're proving them right now by saying, hey, this year we're just gonna checker years. We're gonna do one this year and then maybe not next year. And who's going to invest in something with that much uncertainty that we are providing? We're providing that uncertainty as a council.
Well, I feel like we will be able to in the future. Like right now, with everything that needs to be done, these problems have been there for all 4 years. We've kind of put them on the back burner to help out the downtown businesses, but now that they've come into light and people are talking about them more, like our fire and safety and our ADA parking and all that, it feels like now it's the time to kind of maybe have to step back and be able to, we can do it again. If everybody feels, I'm totally down with doing it again, but it's going to be for those $0 ones up there, and everybody's going to have the same talk and the same thing to say about it. They're going to say it's tired, it needs something done, but it's not going to be done this year because these things need to be done for it to be done right. And then once we come back and we get that all done to where it's safe and efficient for everybody, then we'll be able to, I think we can put those long-term contracts in on it and do it every year. But I feel like, we have to respect our fire and safety and our, ADA, people here in town and listen to them now because they are speaking out now.
And and the sad reality is we could give a commitment, but the reality of council is we turn over every 2 years. We have 3 new members coming in every 2 years. So we could say, yeah, we'll give you a 5-year commitment on this, but we're not going to be here. If someone new council comes in, they could just as easily, after people make all these investments in that area, they could come and reverse it. And that would well be within their right.
I mean, it's like better them than us.
But it doesn't help the business owner who invests all this money.
But a future council making bad decisions shouldn't be a reason for us not making good ones. Like, if they're going to be unpopular, I sleep a lot better at night knowing that I made good decisions.
Well, I would let's not talk good or bad. We have different points of view, and
it's fine. Economic positives, then sales tax generating and revenue. I mean, I'm also providing like a scenario here of why I imagine that this is a point positive for sales tax revenue, more people being able to congregate in bigger spaces. But I haven't been offered any opposition to that. Like, how is no closure somehow better or the same as what we're dealing with now? You've given me like crystal ball analyses, but that's not, like, provide me with a scenario that I can wrap my mind around.
all the business owners that have said this is revenue neutral to them, and they're indifferent.
Everyone?
No, I said not everyone. There's plenty who are in support, but there's also plenty who have said they view it as revenue neutral when they're indifferent.
Okay.
That's.
But none have said it's revenue negative. So the ones that have said that it's a revenue
positive. We did talk to us all summer, last summer.
I'm sorry?
About it being revenue negative. The high side kept coming to us saying, we need those parking spots. We need those parking spots. So that's just one example of a business. We did talk to other businesses who said that the F Street closure, one was an art gallery, said the F Street closure kept anyone from coming to their gallery during Art Walk because they were not on F Street. And businesses on F Street pay a premium for that traffic, but we did hear those negative comments from businesses off F Street.
I guess I just didn't see that in our financial analysis. I mean,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I was with Dominique during some of those meetings, and most of those businesses, when Dominique and I talked to them, the ones off of F Street, said they absolutely wanted signage, which I think is already in progress from what Diesel is saying. The off-street businesses said they would be okay with the closure if there were signage, and it sounds like that is in the works to come this summer. So I think that they are in favor of the closure if there is signage to advertise what they have to offer off of F Street. And then the businesses that I did talk to, many of them were definitely positive in sales tax because of the closure. Some of them were neutral. So if you take away the positive, if you open it, then, I mean, does it go negative? Does our sales tax go down is what I'm asking, because I don't know that we want our sales tax to go down. I'm in favor of the businesses. So if most of them are saying they are revenue positive because of the closure, that puts it in the positive in my book.
I'd like to see the conversation come back around to the table and take these things one at a time. Close only 2 blocks, I'm in favor of that. You know, rather than just complaining about how we can't do anything, why don't we look at these actions individually and weigh in on them and move forward?
Yeah, I think we're at a point, I mean, obviously there's some philosophical differences here, which is good. I mean, a lot of times votes go 5-0 or whatever, 6-0, whatever the case is. But I think maybe if people are okay with it, I mean, I mean, we've obviously put a lot on the table. Does someone want to contemplate a motion? Or we can continue the conversation.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm somewhat new to this. Is there a way to say we want some more information before we make that, or we already dismissed that? I mean, would even a month help? And I mean, or are we getting too close to the timeline of May when we're supposed to have it either open or closed? I'm not sure how this works.
Yeah.
Like if they said, okay, we came up with 10 more spots that are accessible in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if staff did that, would that change it? If we said we want the whole thing closed, does that change those spots in the next 2 or 3
Suzanne,
weeks?
so
Or something else that we're asking for? Would that change
Yeah,
anything
Suzanne,
in a short timeline?
Yes, Suzanne, earlier staff mentioned that nothing's going to happen. I mean, they'd have to bring a resolution back to us. So it wouldn't happen tonight.
Right, but we do need the guidelines.
Yeah, they need,
So, can I just clarify? To close the road, you need a resolution. You don't need anything if you're just going to keep a street open, just like any street in the city does not need a resolution to stay open.
Right.
And so that resolution would ideally include the location of the closure, like whatever the length is, the duration of the closure, so from what date until what date. If where Councilmember Papenfort was going, if there are any items on this list of actions that you all believe staff should be implementing, looking at the budget to see where we could adjust things if necessary, that would be helpful. We could include that in the resolution or include it in, again, identifying the work plan for staff over the next couple of months. So those would be ideal for us.
and the only other thing I'd mention, I just think it's really important. We have some really great traditions in this community, and we've gotten away from some of them with this. We need to figure out a way for these parades. I mean, they're already, based on conversations, based on articles, they're already have begun planning. And, you know, they've had to make major adjustments the last few years. I don't think it's right. Yeah, they would do that again.
I agree, the parades, we've already promised that. And that's why the closure would have to be short. And I would propose that it would be from Sackett to Second.
I would second that.
So let's build the motion, you know,
Yeah.
as we move through it. I think we're also really focused on low and no-cost items. So I'm totally in favor of moving the stage and eliminating the flower baskets because we haven't budgeted for that. The pedestrian wayfinding is already happening. That's already in the budget, so we're good with that. You know, I love the idea of the tree lighting because that's not very much money. $2,000-3,000, I think we could come up with that, and that would add a little pizzazz to it, bring it a little more upscale, and I really think that's all we can do. We cannot do overhead lighting, we cannot do speakers, we cannot do the bollards, that's all too much money. And then I think we seriously need to look at having it open to traffic next year when the sidewalk work is happening. So we can see that evolve and see what we have and then convene all the planning because there's going to be some major changes. Or maybe the planning goes on and looks at that plan too. You know, maybe that's a conversation Dan has with the people he's already talking with. And then, of course, staff would have to go and identify additional ADA parking. Hopefully it would be near corners so that they could access those 2 blocks. And I think businesses could do creative solutions as well, like I will meet you at the corner of 2nd and F with your to-go order.
So I like a lot of what you said, and my one concern is it feels almost like we're kind of kicking the can just a year down the road. We're going to have the same issues with the business community next year that we're currently having. So it's just pushing it down the road.
But the committee work needs to happen that you talked about with ADA, with the businesses.
But there's no guarantees to, you know, the outcome.
Well, I understand that we can't guarantee that the pedestrian mall would become a permanent thing. But when things become culturally normal, it's more likely that future councils would honor it. But we can't be responsible for what decisions are made 100 years from now.
I'm more worried about 3 to 5.
Right, well,
The last item, if you all could consider the duration of the closure. So Memorial Day to Labor Day, May 1st to October 3rd, like what, I just want to make sure that we have that down as well.
What was it last year?
Memorial to Labor, weekend
Yeah,
to
Memorial to
weekend.
Labor, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And then just to be clear, this would need to come in a resolution in a future meeting.
And
Right.
I think it goes without saying that it addresses the concerns from the ADA community, from our first responders, and from our veterans parades. I think, you know, again.
It doesn't address the concerns if we don't have bollards. It doesn't address the fire concerns.
I would
not vote for it without implementing the bollards, because I just think it's reckless. I'm thinking about the people downtown safety, the people in the building safety, but also firefighter safety. And so I mean, I would love to hear from our business community about how they would pitch in to purchase those. It'd be great if we had a downtown business alliance, but I wonder if the chamber could function in that way. So just a promise of wanting to pitch in is one thing, but like what, how much, what is the business community going to do? Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't vote for it without bollards.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off Councilmember Nacarado. Just procedurally, you know, being the one who drafts the resolutions, I know you mentioned the ADA accessibility. However, I would guess there's no way that's going to be resolved in a week and a day, which is the packet deadline for the next meeting. So I just want to bring that up. I just want to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with regards to the bollards, those would need to go in with some major intersection improvements that won't be taking place until 2025. We can't I don't think that we can commit to that given the budget. Okay.
And that's why I'm saying it should be shorter, because we can't do that this year.
I just wanted to let Councilmember Nacarado know the timing for those.
But if we could budget for it and make it part of the
Absolutely.
improvements
Yes.
in 25.
Yes, and
I
that's
think
the
that would be
plan.
fantastic.
would be a strong commitment from council of the future of the closure, for sure.
And what I would ask, Councilmember Critelli,
Yeah.
is if we end up going this direction, and I'm going to do this publicly, I would want you to serve on that committee with me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I already am by way of receiving a lot of angry emails.
But you'd also be getting the emails from people who might be angry with you after tonight.
Oh my.
You can deal with it.
I do declare. No, it's not like I'm not open to addressing any of those issues, and they are all valid. I'm merely an echo for the people that reside in my ward. Yeah.
Can we scroll?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
It's not going to help much.
I
There's just a
just-
blank line on what
I'm sorry.
I moved to.
I moved to.
I
didn't
just
know-
have a real quick question about if we're doing what is possibly suggested, just closing a small section, where would the parade route go? Would we move those for the parade, or it would just go to the closure and then turn right or left, and that would be the end?
Move them for the parade.
Yeah, we could move the barriers for the parade. Staff would probably want to include in any agreements with the businesses that they agree to move anything that they have in the right-of-way out of the area in order for those parades to move through, to ensure that we have the driving lanes and the safety access. So we would include that in any new agreements.
And that would be enforceable? I mean, because that would be really important that everyone
It would be
under-
really important.
That's what I'm,
And
yes, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, we would hope that if a business said they were going to move the things in the right of way for the parade, that they would follow through with that, yes.
Okay,
Otherwise, it
so
will be
then
staff
my
moving
next
things.
question is, if we shortened it and there can move the barricades, what if we kept it big? You can still move the barricades. I mean, I don't know how it got from being the full closure to a partial closure.
The full closure makes the fire and safety concerns much greater. The shorter distance makes it easier to run down the road with a fire hose and maybe get there in time to do some good.
The other, related to that, the other issue is that half a block between Second and Third, you've got that alleyway, which, Natural Grocers all day long has deliveries coming in there. So you imagine a delivery truck back there along with a fire truck trying to get through. Was a concern that's been raised to us over the years. That make sense?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, absolutely, I understand the fire accessible. That is so important. And all first responder accessible. It's got to be a priority for our city.
And I'll put it out there, I'll volunteer to drive the machine I'll volunteer my time with the loader to move those concrete blocks. And then maybe if the businesses don't move their stuff, I could move it with that too.
Or maybe you could just help me air all the angry emails that
I will do that as
sure
well.
we're also gonna see.
Yeah.
All right.
That
I
would
have
be huge.
plenty of experience in machinery operations, so I think
This horse has
do
been
that pretty
beaten a
quick.
lot.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move to reinstate the F Street closure with the lowest financial impact options possible as presented.
Does that cover everything?
Think.
Is that, what about the blocks?
Just the
Oh, I mean, yeah, that would be the,
100 block.
Can you
Nina-
amend your motion to direct staff to draft a resolution for a future meeting for that purpose?
Could you write all this down for us?
As discussed.
as discussed. Wait, I can amend my own.
He hasn't made the final motion.
I haven't made it, I guess. I'm still, it's a stream of consciousness. With, what was that again, Nina?
Direct staff to
Directing
draft
staff.
a resolution for a future council meeting for XYZ.
Oh, for XYZ. Okay, directing staff to conduct,
Prepare a resolution
prepare a resolution
for future council meeting.
for a future council meeting. And XYZ would be
He doesn't need to be
the-
super specific.
but yeah, so for a closure between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend.
Anybody can do this, you can do it, Justin.
Yeah. That's all I got. And for a first and second blocks.
Second to second, right?
Second to,
Second.
second to second, right.
I was gonna take myself out of any of the fib art business, but this does come in.
There's no fib work here, and it's incidental. Yeah.
I would second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Critelli, seconded by Councilmember Pappenfort. And the motion is to direct staff to prepare a resolution for a future council meeting to reinstate the F Street closure with the lowest financial impacts and from Sackett to Second Street.
Perfect.
Further discussion?
Nacarado,
We can vote on this first.
Nacarado,
I'm sorry, there was some background noise and I couldn't hear, but I think we're voting,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And could you read
The motion?
the motion one more time?
Yeah, sure. So the motion is to direct staff to prepare a resolution for future council meetings and to reinstate the F Street closure with the lowest financial impacts from Sackett to Second Street.
No.
Fontana,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Pappenfort.
Yes.
The motion passed.
I would offer an amendment that staff investigate what's an appropriate number of additional ADA parking spaces that are lost by those two blocks so that we increase the ADA parking. And I would like to add the tree lighting in so that we have some little upscale, something that's low dollars.
We already voted, but if someone agrees with you, you just need two people to direct a resolution. So can you restate that, the ADA part?
That I would like there to be additional ADA parking to make up for what's lost in those two blocks, for staff to find places for additional ADA parking.
I would second that.
Okay, and I think the tree lighting would come under the lowest
Low
financial.
dollars?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. So I heard, so we'll do this as a separate motion, correct?
We just need direction of two of you
Oh,
to
you
draft
got
a
it from those,
resolution.
okay, you got it.
Just logistically, is to present a resolution is conditioned upon finding that ADA parking? Because I think that will take a long time for staff. I'm just the lawyer, but I work with staffs everywhere, so I just trying to kind of understand. I guess either way, we're going to bring a resolution, and then there'll be commentary as to if they have made found the additional ADA parking. Is that?
Yeah, maybe you just count the ADA parking spots in those two blocks and go, that's our target. We're looking for 5 more parking spaces. I mean, that shouldn't be too complicated. Is that the end-all
It's easy
plan
for
for
us
the
to
whole
say.
rest of the?
I can
Unless you
count,
tell
I
us
can
that,
count
then.
ADA spots. That's not complicated. I've got that.
Unless you tell us it.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to find more
They
spots.
have to be
but I
placed
can-
accessibly.
I
You
can
can't just
absolutely count the number
designate
of
5
spots.
other spots elsewhere.
Yeah,
That's our
I can-
target.
They have to be close to ramps and they have to be accessible.
We will bring forward what we find out.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
It is complicated.
It's very complicated, yep.
Right.
All
But is
right.
it 2 months complicated or a year complicated? And that's what we're asking staff. Staff.
Well, it
who
is
we're
a
paying.
leap year, so.
Right, of course.
All right. Okay, I think we can move on now. All right. We have a public hearing and amplified sound permit for Highside. I will hereby open the public hearing and turn it over to staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Per City Council direction, certain amplified noise permits are subject to public hearings as they relate to dates, hours of operation, and decibel levels. The city has received an application from Highside to host a ski patrol fundraiser on March 29th, 2024 from 6 to 11 p.m. Normally, amplified sound permits could be approved administratively. However, since this is outside of the time window that city administrator can approve it, and it is not in the season that the city administrator can approve, we have put it forward as a public hearing. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Questions? Okay, no applicant, the applicant's not here tonight, they're not
The
online.
applicant is not here tonight.
Okay. And then once again, with public comment, if you want to speak, now is the time to sign up for this. No one signed up? Okay. Going,
There's no one online.
no one online, okay. Their applicant, no rebuttal from anyone. I'm going to go ahead and close public hearing. That'll take us to preliminary discussion. Who'd like to begin?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve an amplified noise permit for Highside Bar and Grill located at 300 West Sackett Avenue for the Ski Patrol fundraiser to be held on March 29th, 2024, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 11 p.m.
Second.
So motion from Councilmember Critelli, seconded by Councilmember Pappenfort. Motion is to approve an amplified noise permit for Highside Bar and Grill located at 300 West Sackett Avenue for the Ski Patrol fundraiser to be held on March 29th, 2024, between the hours of 6 and 11 p.m. Further discussion?
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Critelli,
Yes.
Fontana.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, and then up next is Resolution 2024-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida, Colorado, declaring a vacancy on the City Council for Ward 3.
I'm passing this over to our city attorney.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just gonna pull it up. Oh, no, it's okay, thanks. So our code specifically states that if there is a vacancy that we declare it by resolution. Harold Casper resigned in early February, on February 6th. So this resolution is just officially approving the vacancy. It needs to be filled by April 9th, 2024.
Questions?
Yeah, my question is as far as what benefits the appointee would expect to receive. I know that Harold had a different set of pay and benefits as opposed to the next generation.
Because it's after the election. But do you all receive those new benefits now?
Only people that were reelected.
Right, because I don't, because I can't vote
I
on
don't
my
think
own
so. I think that I think we should be conservative with this. I think that the person is filling the rest of Harold's term, that it should be those benefits. And then if that person or anyone else gets reelected, it should be, that apply to that new term.
Okay.
I don't think that's what we discussed at the retreat when we said that. We discussed new appointees also being the recipients of those new benefits.
Because,
I will have to look into the statute.
Because as I think about it, the reason you don't allow it is you don't want somebody to vote for a pay raise for themselves, but whoever's coming in didn't vote.
I mean, it's in the statute, so I'll have to look into the
Okay.
statute. This is probably very, very rarely happened, especially since you guys are a statutory city, but I will look into it, like the exact wording of the statute, and get back to you on that.
Great, and that, well, there's plenty of time between now and in 2 weeks, so, yeah, okay.
Also, other question, as far as, like, resided in the ward that's not necessarily residing in, like, at a address, like a specific address for 12 consecutive months, it's just within the boundaries of the, even if that person's moving around within the ward. Just
I believe that's the way it's written.
Okay.
So in other words, if they lived yet like 2 months in this house and 10 months in another.
Yeah, they went from Dodge to Hunt Street, but they were in it for all of 12 months.
That means that they're still eligible.
Yeah, for at least 12 consecutive months.
Okay, within the boundaries of the ward itself.
Correct.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question on when I know that people have applied for this position because I've seen letters to council come through in support and such. When do we as a council see the applicants' applications?
The city council will interview candidates on March 18th. And you'll receive all of the applications, letters of support, everything that we've received prior to that work session. And then if council is ready to appoint on March 19th, you'll have the ability to do that at that time.
And if anyone's listening, they want to still apply, is it still open?
Till March 14th.
On the city website, right?
Yes.
Other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2024-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida declaring a vacancy on the City Council for Ward 3.
Second.
So a motion from Councilmember Pappenfort, seconded by Councilmember Curtelli, and the motion is to approve Resolution 2024-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Salida declaring a vacancy on the City Council for Ward 3. Further discussion? Sir.
Curtelli,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Nacarado,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay, and that will take us to council reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Curtelli.
Yeah, so I have a request from Jimmy Sellers to alert the council to that our attendance would be appreciated at a community LGBTQ plus cultural competency training at the STEAM plant. It's April 25th from 12 to 4. And I think, I mean, that would be a really, really good to just have as much, I know it's kind of in the middle of the day there, but it would be nice to have as much of council attending.
And just so you know, I forwarded that to Sarah a week or two ago, and it's
Okay.
already gone out. That invitation has gone out to every council member.
Oh, great.
Just so you know.
Perfect. And then our teen council presentation got pushed back. They're hoping to do a presentation at our next work session, I think on the 18th that is. Basically just to talk about surveys that have been, that they've been compiling and updating lately. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Fontana.
Hi, I don't have a lot to report. I just wanted to say thank you to staff, department heads who spoke last night on the report, the first community report, that it was so thorough, and everybody, I feel like they are doing a great job as staff and the department heads, from the police chief to public works to the arts, everything, everybody who took their time to speak last night to report. I feel like that gives the city even more transparency, even though I know it's online, there's a paper copy, people can get it. Speaking on it last night, to me, I felt like I was very confident in the city, and I wanted to say thank you for that to all of those people and it made it more transparent from what the city is doing and where we're going. So that's my report. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody last night.
Thank you. Councilmember Nacarado. We can always.
Nothing tonight. Yeah, sorry to miss the first part of the meeting. Had something come up with family, and that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pappenfort.
I'm going to second what Suzanne said. You know, great reports from staff last night. I kind of felt like the principal out of school, like it was a report card, you know, our master's presentations. It was fantastic. And I also want to thank all of council. It's difficult when we revisit things that we have already decided on. And we do that because the public is pushing hard for it. This is a compromise situation on the walking mall. It is not a perfect solution. Everybody's not going to be happy with it. But I think next year is going to be a better year to work out all of the kinks and budget for the appropriate bollards so that we can do this right. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks. Councilmember Stevens.
No, nothing to report tonight.
Yeah, and I just had one thing to report. We've had 2 meetings thus far of the working group on parking. And the last one was a week ago Wednesday. And I just want to thank all the citizens, business owners that have participated in it. They've been some tough conversations. They've been spirited, but I think they've also been productive. And I will say that I was disappointed with the way that it was reported, that I felt like we had a 90-minute conversation that was productive, and the focus was on 1 minute that got a little bit heated. But, you know, anytime you're dealing with challenging issues, that kind of stuff comes up. And that's what makes a community stronger and better when you can get it. And I just wish that it had been a more balanced article. So that's all I have. And then Treasurer is not with us this evening. I believe he's traveling. Anything from our attorney?
Yes, I just want to share how excited I am about Christy Jefferson being the new Salida City Clerk. I've worked with her for 6.5 years, and she is just always impressing me in how her work is done. And I really think it's neat how you've promoted from within. She's been here for 23 years, moving her way up. And the skills that she has will be very transferable. And I also just want to note, I know that you guys did a proclamation for Women's History Month. I recently read or saw in the news that women CEOs just surpassed male CEOs named John. And I think it's pretty neat that I'll be the only non-Christie sitting in this.
Awesome. And staff?
Just a quick reminder of the open house tomorrow, starting at 6 o'clock at the Scout Hut for the workforce housing project at First and D.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm going to ask, we need to make a motion to go into executive session. And my understanding is we can read both simultaneously and then vote. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you mind?
Okay.
It's just I
Both
move.
is highlighted.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure Councilmember Nacarado because we need a 2/3 vote for this.
What's that?
We need a 2/3 vote to go into executive session.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure that they're still in line.
So please still be there.
I'm ready.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'm here.
I move to go into executive session for a conference with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402-4B, and for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiations under CRS Section 24-6-402-4E.
And then can you if you want to make the motion for both purposes?
You can read that one. So we'll just.
Read these three?
Yeah, exactly. Now I move to go into executive session.
I move to go into executive session for a conference with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402-4B, for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS Section 24-6-402-4E, to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real personal or other property interests under CRS Section 246402-4A. Could I get a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, and the motion is to go into executive session for the purpose of conferencing with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6, 4024B, and for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS Section 24-6, 4024E, and the following additional details are provided for identification purposes. 627 Oak Street pre-annexation agreement with Salida School District, R32J, and related negotiations, terms, and discussions. And then secondly, move to go into executive session for the purpose of conferencing with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6, 4024B, for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS Section 24-6, 4024E, and to discuss the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real personal or other property interest under CRS Section 24-6, 4024A, and the following additional details are provided for identification purposes: city water rights and credits and necessary legal documents and agreements concerning same. Further discussion?
Nacarado,
Yes.
Pappenfort,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Fontana,
Yes.
Critelli.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. And if I could ask everyone to clear the room so that we can
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Trying to reduce paper, right? Sustainability.
Yeah, right, exactly.
One-sided.
Hey, Justin, I don't want you to bring back a motion to adjourn at the next meeting, okay?
The school made the F Street thing seem easy.
Like they go back to the meeting and they adjourn.
Well,
Yeah.
until I
So
get
let me
home.
open up that one.
No, you're fine.
4 days of fib art.
Do we want to do a quick summary?
Give me 1 second, just so I can open up the other webinar.
See what?
That my wife is not happy with the city right now. Just to warn you.
I hear you. Okay.
Flour mill.
Yeah, right, you're right, yeah. Sorry, I'm tired, but I'm
Really?
Right.
You're exhausted.
yes, I am.
Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an organizer and may now speak with other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready for your attendees to hear you, press the Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel.
Oh, but it's okay. Okay. But is the YouTube on?
I'll double check with John.
So I would like to make a report.
Text
Or
my wife
the
and see
mayor
if she
can
can
make
see
a,
us.
would you like to make a summary, or do you want me to?
I'll have you, I think. So after, the summary first, or so I'll do my thing and then you do it and then okay. Okay, you good?
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
The time is now 9:17 PM, and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Justin Critelli, Suzanne Fontana, Aaron Stevens, Dan Shore, Dominique Nacarado, Elisa Pappenfort, Christy Dune, Nina Williams, Bill Almquist, David Lady, and Catherine Dunleavy. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of open meetings laws, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, I'm going to ask City Attorney Nina Williams to give a brief summary.
Yes, I'll give a quick summary of both executive sessions. So the first executive session, we heard from our water lawyer regarding city water rights and credits and necessary legal documents and agreements concerning same for further protection, and there was recommendations made and general consensus as to next steps that should be done. Secondly, we held a second executive session regarding the 627 Oak Street pre-annexation agreement with the Salida School District. And the city council gave very clear negotiating parameters for hopefully a final draft for this agreement to be presented to the school district's attorney and then hopefully placed on the March 19th city council agenda.
Great, thank you very much. And seeing no objections, the next agenda item would be a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
I guess I'm delaying by getting in the way of this.